This man is a walking miracle. I kid you not. He had a terrible accident. A train hit him and he lost his arms and legs. Everyone was watching, but no one helped him, even though he was bleeding a lot for many hours. He should have died, but God saved him because he had something important to teach the world.
Iliachanga mikono na miguu hapo, zilikuwa zimeachwa hapo. Ndio watu walinionanga, but walikuwa wanaogopa kunichukua. So nikakaanga hapo kama 2 hours.
The doctors did everything they could, and he survived. The most surprising thing about this man's story is that normally, to stay afloat in water, you need your arms and legs. But this man taught himself to swim very well in the pool, even better than some people with all limbs. He also does many other things that usually need arms and legs. He uses his tongue to make phone calls, handle the TV remote, and change channels. He feeds himself, and even writes in a notebook by holding a pen in his mouth. How did he learn to do all these things when others with similar disabilities often just stay in their wheelchairs? How does he handle his daily life? I heard about him when I was in Kenya. It wasn't easy to get to his house, but I managed to reach him. Unfortunately, his story turned out to be even worse.
Yeah, it's crazy. But you could just kill Danny?
Just Danny.
Okay. So finally you are here now.
Yeah.
Hapa sasa ndio
nakaa.
Oh.
Ndio.
Okay.
Inaitwa Duncan Murigi. Nilizaliwa Murang'a.
My name is Duncan, and I was born in Murang'a, Kenya. I have 5 siblings, and we have only 1 girl in our family. My mother passed away in 2021. Like everyone else, I was born with arms and legs. We moved to this area because my father worked here. When I was old enough to go to school, I was sent to Jamhuri School. I attended my first and second year, but in December 1998, there was a place I often went to play with other kids, and there was a shop nearby where many people went to buy food. He was a young boy of 8 years old and loved everything about driving because he dreamed of becoming a driver someday. Like other kids, he had a place where he met friends to play. One day, while playing with his friends as usual, something bad happened early in the day that would change his life forever.
Nikitoka hapo, nikatoka nikiwa peke yangu.
After playing with my friends, I was left alone near a place with roads going over and under each other and many railway tracks below. That's where I fell, and a train loaded with containers hit me. It threw me against the cliff, and I immediately lost my legs and arms. People saw what happened, but they were too scared to come help me. I was alone for almost 2 hours until my father found me and took me to the hospital. I stayed there for 2 weeks, and then we moved to another hospital, Kikuyu Hospital, where I spent 2 months. It remained very hard for him to receive treatment because his injuries were severe. His situation got a lot of attention in the media and became widely known. However, this publicity turned into a chance for him to get the help he needed to recover. My situation was difficult, but then a kind man from England read about me in the newspaper. He brought me to England, where I received prosthetic legs and arms, and I learned to walk again. When I returned, I went back to school, studying from grade 2 to 8, and then moved to Mombasa Secondary. Later, my father passed away, and our uncles took over our home and forced us out. One day, a pastor named Charles saw me on TV. He was moved by my story and offered me a house to live in for free for 5 years, after which I would start paying him 8,000 shillings a month. we moved into this house, which had all these pieces of equipment. We've been here for 3 years without paying rent, but we are always worried that he might ask us to leave, and if that happens, I don't know where we can go. It's natural for him to be worried because living in this house doesn't solve all his problems. He has faced many hardships, including the deaths of both his parents. He couldn't take care of himself, and his siblings couldn't help much either. The only support he had was from one brother who lives with him. This brother had to give up a lot to take care of him because he acts as his hands and legs. My name is Bernard. I have been taking care of my brother since 2015. Initially, our mum helped because she was alive, and we all lived together. After finishing school, it often takes about a year to find a job here. I was jobless for a while, but eventually found work. Then I had to leave my brother in our mum's care. At that time, our mum became the primary caregiver, but she had diabetes and later developed high blood pressure, which made things tough. We didn't have much money, and life was hard. The job I had didn't pay well enough to support us. It was difficult for my mum to find her medications. Eventually, I decided to quit my job and come home to help out. When I returned, we both faced life problems and had no income. After our mum passed away, it became even harder. I had to take care of my brother all the time, and I couldn't leave him alone.
Kulikuwa na kesi, then nikalipangwa 5.3 million.
After the accident, the insurance paid me 1.3 million, but my lawyer used it for his own purposes without anyone at home knowing, and I was just a kid then. Later, I received another 9 million, but my father took it. They gave it to him while I was at school in Mombasa. By the time I returned, the money was all gone. I'm not saying this to blame anyone because I believe everything happens for a reason. After everything that happened, he decided to accept himself and live life to the fullest, regardless of the challenges. I was amazed by how he swims in the pool. He does it better than most people who have arms and legs. He can do other amazing things too, like using his phone with his tongue and changing TV channels the same way. I found him incredibly impressive because I didn't think he could do these things. He even writes on paper by holding a pen in his mouth. All of this shows his talent and strong spirit. However, his life is still very tough. He constantly needs medical care, and the treatments he received as a child are now causing problems because as he grew up, he couldn't continue his medical treatments properly. This has made his current situation even more challenging.
Nikiwa huko London, nilienda nikaekanga huko mikono ni chuma.
When I was in England, doctors inserted metal rods into my arms because my bones kept growing through my muscles. They said they would remove them after 30 years, but I haven't been able to get them out yet because I don't have enough money for the treatment. The metal makes it very painful, especially on cold nights, and I struggle to sleep. There's only one medicine that eases the pain, but it's so expensive that I can barely afford it. I'm also supposed to have a checkup every 6 months, but I can't afford that either. The biggest issue we face is that none of us have jobs. We rely on our neighbors even for food, which makes everything very difficult. Dan has a severe health issue and can't take care of himself. He also has diabetes, but he doesn't like to talk about his problems, which makes things harder. As his caregiver, I'm really worried about his health because managing diabetes requires a good diet, but we can't afford that. This puts his life at great risk. For me, It's time to find a job so I can support both of us. Dan is getting older, and he needs more than just medical care. He needs a family environment too.
Nikapata pesa, nifungue tu shop. Ndio bradhangu apumzike juu.
I think if I had some money, I would open a shop. This would also help my brother, because he has been doing a lot for me, and getting food is always a challenge. Right now, everything is tough because the artificial legs and arms I got as a child don't fit me anymore. They're too small now that I'm grown up, and it feels like there's nothing I can do about it. I believe it won't be easy for me. I might need to go back to England for treatment, where I was originally treated. I can't remember all the details, but I clearly recall the hospital was called Queen Mary Hospital. Life is really hard for them right now, and they feel helpless. Dan can't take care of himself, and his brother, who looks after him, can't leave him alone to find a job. They are asking for any help they can get to improve their situation. This support would allow Dan to have a better quality of life and give his brother the chance to build a future for himself. I am reaching out to Kenyans and everyone else who hears my plea for help to raise funds to remove the painful metal in my arms. I also need assistance to obtain a wheelchair and some starting capital to open a shop. This way, I can earn a living and afford to pay for my housing, as I will soon need to start paying for this house. Lastly, I want to express my gratitude to the pastor who generously provided us with this house for free all this time. May God continue to bless him. His kindness is a reminder that there are still good people in the world. If Dan's story has moved you, kindly donate whatever you can by clicking on Giving Life's link, which is in the description of this video and the pinned comments. Remember, it's our collective actions that create a wave of change and bring hope to those who need it most. He doesn't let his disabilities define him, but instead, he focuses on what he can do, like swimming, using his phone and TV remote with his tongue, and writing by holding a pen in his mouth. Let his story teach us never to give up, and to remain resilient in the face of life's challenges. Thank you for watching. I am Simon Greenwood, and this is Afrimax English. Don't forget to subscribe.